Well, g'day everyone, how's it going? Coming at you from the studio today, and it is a very cold day in Melbourne today, so I'm very much rugged up for this video. But I wanted to take you through my top tips for getting better audio, and I'm someone who does filmmaking and video production, so I'm kind of constantly on set and having different scenarios for audio. Sometimes I'm doing a first AC to camera, so I'm helping them to set up the wireless mics and lavaliers and booms, things like that. Other times I'm doing a one-man band where I'm setting up a camera with the scratch audio or a microphone on camera, and then I'm laving up the subject for the interviews. And so I kind of have gotten my way through doing different scenarios and getting different results. Sometimes great results, other times not so great results. And so I wanted to kind of take you through my process for great audio. And so number one, I think, is just having good scratch audio. Now, right now I'm recording this on a boom, which I'm gonna show you in a little bit. But something like this one, the Rode Videomic Pro, is a really good scratch audio option. And basically it takes the camera audio that we know on like an R5. I'll let you hear that sound now. It really sounds terrible. And although I won't plug this in, it gives you a much more cleaner sound and something much more like a boom. Like for example, if I was to move this boom microphone over to where the camera is, so if I was to kind of put the boom over by the camera, then it does give quite a good sound still. So whether it's up above your head or it's by the camera, and there it is back up above my head again. It's sort of like the good way to get great sound is to have an on-camera microphone like the Rode Videomic Pro. So that's kind of the first step. And one of the reasons this is important is because if you're shooting as a DP and you're going to be offloading your footage, even if you're just doing setup shots or cinema kind of shots without any real audio, having something that captures nice scratch audio is actually professional, and it takes your filmmaking to the next level. So if you've just got your camera, like let's say I've just got an R5 and I'm just using the crappy speakers on the R5, and that's the scratch audio I'm giving and I'm offloading, it's kind of not very professional. You want something on camera that can capture professional audio, even if the camera's further away. It just ups your game and gives you a much better option for that. So I would recommend doing that. Second thing is, I just showed you before, but this one here, which is the boom mic. And I would say that this is a game changer. Having a boom in all of your sort of piece to camera setups is gonna really take it to that next level. There are some, you can see it here just out of frame, and I'll just pop it back up in frame there. Now, there are some instances where you don't necessarily need to have a boom, and it's better off gonna be having a lav microphone on the subject. But in a lot of scenarios, a boom mic will give you superior audio, and having it boomed closely boomed just out of frame. So if you've got like a tighter framing, then that's always going to be a really good option so that you can get the boom mic out of frame. But there's also a way that you can boom a mic in. You can get a clean slate, and then you can actually remove the boom from that particular clean slate, as long as the subject's head isn't crossing between the boom and the framing. So there is a way you can get rid of it if you wanted to really close mic a subject and get really crispy audio. Now, the room you're listening to right now is, I've kind of got everything turned off. I have my computers turned off and my hard drive turned off, but there is still a heater that's running periodically, so you might still hear that ramp up now and again. It's quite cold here. But generally, there's no treatment on the roof up above me or on the walls. It's only carpeted. So you can get a decent sounding audio from something that's close mic'd, and there's not much reverberation. This is the actual clean audio that you're listening to now. I'll play that for you now. So this audio has got no processing on it, and that's just because I'm getting this boom mic close. This boom is a Rode NTG2, and it kind of works for my voice as well. So it's quite good to close mic with this microphone. The third thing I would say is lav audio. So lavalier audio is something that is actually, in certain scenarios, it can be really good. Now I have a lav right here with me, and this is again a Rode microphone lav. This comes with the Rode Filmmaker kit or the Rode, what do we call it? The Rode Link. Now, This is quite a good lav, but there's better ones. There are better ones out there. And one of the things with this lav is it's not very forgiving. So you really need to make sure this is mic'd up in the right spot. Now, I would always mic a lav in this area here somewhere on the subject. And this is going to be the best possible area where you get the lav mic. Now, it's a little bit more tricky for females, of course. You've got to be more discreet and placing it on the top of the blouse maybe, or sometimes the bra strap as well comes down here. You can just glue it to that or sticky tape it to that. But you basically want to get it in this area. The reason for that is because the pickup pattern kind of picks up the high frequencies, but also drops down and picks up some of the lower frequencies. And it sounds quite good, this particular microphone. Now, I know the Sennheisers are a little bit better than these, but these tend to sound quite good. And I used to try and, mic them underneath a collar here and hide it here and, put it in other places, maybe put it, under the shirt on the side or right, up close here in the neck area. But it just doesn't sound as good as down here. So now what I tend to do is, say if I was laving up myself here, I would undo my shirt and I would just get some gaff tape. I would literally just gaff this to the back of my jacket right there, so that the mic is actually around about in this position here, gaffed to the back of the shirt there, and picking up this kind of polar pattern here. And if you think about it, this is around about the same distance as this microphone, which is just out of frame here. So it's around about the same distance away, and it's picking up a similar kind of frequency response there. And that's how I've found to get the best out of my lav setups. So I don't try and hide them anywhere on the collar or in the neckline or anything anymore. I really just figure out, okay, am I going to be able to stick it under here? And for most subjects, that's fine to do that. And for most sets, there's a understanding that you're going to, have to jump inside here quickly just to glue something on. So usually it's discreet enough to be able to do that on males and females. And so I just use some tape, and I've got some tape here, just here. This is all I use is a 3M tape to tape that in that area there. And that gives me really good audio. Now you have to have your settings right and everything, but that's sort of a separate video. I'm not going to cover sort of how to get your levels correct and everything, but just miking up and getting them in the right place is really, really important. So number 4 is when you're using a lav mic, there's a tendency for you to just plug the lav on the subject and then plug the other end of the lav into the camera. And there is a problem with that. In all but high-end cameras, there usually isn't great audio processing inside the camera. The camera is kind of made to shoot really well, have good footage and everything, but it's not really made to process really good audio. So whilst higher end cinematic cameras definitely have those capabilities, even when I was shooting on a Red, they just didn't have really good audio in the Red camera. And the audio that I shot on a Red, when I shot directly to camera and I put the lav mic into camera, it really didn't sound all that good. So I would say have some kind of way to externally record your lavs. And right now I'm recording on this, which is the Zoom H5. And so I'm recording from the microphone into this. And if I had the lav set up as well, I would have the lav plugged into this as well. And it's just a way to get really good audio and make it sound professional. And it just gives you that edge over just recording directly into your camera. So I would also suggest to, if you don't, or you're unable to kind of take an external recorder with you, just something small like this, which is the Sony ICD PX470. It's got an SD card inside it. You can plug the lavalier mic into it, basically like that, put that on the subject and record into that. And that actually gives you 48 kilohertz, sound capabilities. It records in 16-bit, I think it is, or maybe even 24-bit, I'm not sure, but quite good audio. You can leave that on the subject. You can kind of set it to an auto setting that works pretty well and doesn't clip and stuff. So for anything like weddings and stuff, that's really good. But just having a separate option to record into, whether that's an external recorder or something small like this, is gonna do you better, and it's gonna get you a better final audio result. And it's a bit like, with footage, you wanna shoot in C-Log because you wanna color grade it. You wanna shoot in RAW because you want that extra dynamic range. in the footage? Well, it's the same as if you're recording in an MP4 format straight to camera, as opposed to a WAV audio format or an AAIF, which is a better audio format. It's more robust. It gives you more to work with in post. It's not an MP3 file. It's not small and doesn't sound tinny. It's got more information. So that's where recording it on something that's going to give you a better overall final quality of audio recorded is going to give you a better final result. And that's another thing that I would say. And the final thing that I have is just treating the room as best as possible. Sometimes you'll be booming in a certain situation, but there's just too many reflective surfaces. And what that means is you'll be getting a lot of echoes and a lot of different reverberations in the room. And that might be where you need to jump on a lav mic and, change it up a little bit. But generally speaking, you can also treat some of those surfaces with sound blankets or a big piece of carpet maybe, or a rug or a blind or some kind of hanging curtain. You can get a better treatment in the room, turning off all the appliances in the room, having, all your computers and everything off or nothing close by to the subject and to the microphone. That's going to be a way to just get the best possible audio from every room that you're in. And this is something that when I jump on set, I put on the earphones. Having a good set of earphones helps as well to be able to isolate the room and isolate each sound in the room. But I'll put them on and I'll listen for sounds outside of the room. I'll listen for anyone scurrying their feet or moving around. And I'll find that, okay, that person's being quite noisy. I'll go and talk to them and say, right, we're going to be recording soon. Your feet are quite noisy. And I'll make sure that everyone in the room knows what I'm dealing with in the environment, and making sure that, everything's kind of locked down. The computers are all like the brightness is down. So all the hard drives are off so that the computers aren't hammering their fans. The AC is off, the fridge is off, that kind of thing. And so I'll make sure that everything in the actual environment is as least noisy as it can possibly be. And then I might lay out some blankets and put up some screening and stuff like that, just to kind of get a little bit of an edge to the audio. But generally speaking, close miking and lav miking is really good for taking away big reverberations in the room. And so long as you've got a mic that's nice and close to the subject, then you don't really have to worry about the post-production. You can actually remove the additional echo in the room if you've got the mic nice and close. The issue comes when you've got the mic really far away and it's on the camera right away from the subject, and there's a lot of reverberation or there's a lot of echo. Then trying to remove that becomes a real problem because it's not closely mic'd enough. So the actual echo isn't coming after the microphone and after the voice. It's all sort of coming together, and that's really difficult to correct in post. But even if you haven't got the perfectly treated room, or you haven't got everything in order for it to sound really, really good direct to camera, or direct into the microphone, as long as you've got the mic nice and close to the subject, then you can repair and do a lot of that work afterwards. And so that's kind of my top tips for getting good audio. Hopefully you've got something from this video and it can help you up your game when you next record, or when you go to set, or when your friend asks you to do some sound recording for them, whatever the scenario may be. I hope that this has served you well. And if you haven't yet picked up a lav mic, or you don't have an external recorder, then I'll leave all the links in the description below in what I use. And I'm actually currently in the process of getting better audio at the moment. I'm wanting to upgrade from the Rode lavs and from the Rode booms that I have, and I want to go to a Sennheiser because I know they just got a little bit of an edge in terms of audio quality. So, you get to that point where you start to chase your tail a lot more and chase the really good audio. Then the next stage from that will probably be treating this room to get these YouTube videos up to the standard that I want them to be, because they're not absolutely perfect. But you can continually do that. But as long as you're doing these 5 steps that I mentioned, then I know it's going to really help you in your filmmaking and in capturing really good audio. So thanks so much for watching. We didn't even talk about post-production, but maybe I'll do a separate video on how I do post-production on audio and all the little things that I do just to make it sound better in post-production. But thank you so much for watching this one, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.